So today I am joined by Lynn Mirley. So Lynn has enjoyed an expansive career across both the private and public sector and is now the Finance Director at the National Trust for Scotland. Hi Lynn, thanks for joining me today.
Hi Kirsty, the hottest day of the summer so far, I think.
I think you're right. Sorry we're not doing this in the garden.
Yeah, no, I've already had to rescue the garden umbrella that blew away in the wind, so it's safer outside.
Brilliant. Oh, I am so pleased you're going to have a chat with me today. And I thought we'd kick off by, why don't you just tell me how the COVID crisis has affected you?
It's affected me in a very different way to how I think a lot of people have experienced it, because I live on a farm in the countryside, so that has made my lockdown experience very, very different. It started in the middle of our lambing season, so everybody in my household apart from me was helping outside, and the whole lockdown experience from a personal point of view has been less claustrophobic because of that. And I think I've underestimated how different it is for a lot of other people. And there was sometimes on team calls I would make comments about, oh, wasn't it nice to get out in the garden yesterday, when there's a lot of my team are in flats in the centre of Edinburgh, stuck in. And so it really brought it home to me how fortunate I am to live where I live, but also that I had to be cognizant of the fact that people were in different circumstances. And to be fair, some of my team have really struggled with lockdown, especially people that are on their own, and that's made it tough. In terms of work, I've actually been really surprised at how quickly the team has adapted. And we had quite a challenging systems implementation before lockdown, and the team have really adapted to going working from home. Most of them hadn't ever worked from home. We only launched Teams to the staff 4 days before lockdown. We didn't have enough laptops, so people are using different technologies to get in and out. But we have moved to completely paperless for our purchase ledger, which was a big step forward. And even now, our office is only open 2 days a week at Hermes and Key. From a business perspective, it's had a massive impact. Lockdown happened just before Easter, and that's the start of our busiest season. And we've had quite a lot of press about what's going on in with our finances, and we're in discussion with Scottish Government. We've got a major fundraising appeal going on that's been really successful, and it's really good to see people stepping out and supporting us. And it was really good this month to get some of our outdoor properties opened, and as we go into August, our built heritage starts to open up. So that's great, but overall it's had a huge, 2/3 of our income dent in our annual income, which is massive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's been keeping you awake?
I sleep quite well, as some of your previous interviewers tend to tell you as well, but it's not so much keeping me awake, it's everything takes longer, so your days are longer. We are doing our external audit just now, and everything is 3-4 times more complicated, because a question that would have been at their desk is now 3 emails later before you've got the full clarification of that email, that question. And so that's been challenging for both sides. And I think because it's not gone as fast as you would want it to do, it makes me worried that we've still got to get through that, and I would like to get that out the way so I can move on to the next things. I think actually how we get back to a different normal is probably my biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Which is very topical at the minute, isn't it? I mean, have you got any thoughts on that at the minute about how you will?
Well, interestingly, I was talking with our technology director about it, because she's got some papers that she's trying to take up to have further discussions, because if we want to follow all the social distancing guidelines in our office, the capacity of the office, our head office, reduces by about 2/3. And that means that we really need to think about how we operate. And everybody's been really good at using sometimes their own technology to go in through our virtual networks, other things. But we need to become more rigorous about how we set up remote working. I mean, we achieved it really quickly, but it's probably needs some work to sustain it, because I think that's going to be more of the norm going forward, at least for the next few months. And we've also got a challenge that a lot of the team actually want to be with each other, because that's part of going to work. Yeah, we've had some team touch bases. It's been really hard getting the right balance of communications, and I noticed that was a theme of some of the other Kirsty Asks, and we keep revisiting it. So one of the things I've done is just an informal, every 3 weeks, we've got about 30 of us on a call just to say hello. And at the start, it was really important because people weren't hearing each other's voices regularly from some of the teams just because of the way their work was. But as time's gone on, you have to refresh that and look at how you're doing it. But some of the people, that is what their thing about go to work. And for me, people is a huge part of what I go to work for. And that's really hard to get in the same way by doing it remotely all the time. And I think that's going to be the struggle about the new normal. I don't think it can be all the time, but then it becomes a challenge of how does it configure.
And just to give listeners an idea, what is the team size from a finance perspective?
Well, we were bigger at the start of lockdown than we are now, but we're down to 25. And that covers payroll and all the normal finance functions as well. So we've had to deal with 630 people on furlough, and half of them are paid fortnightly on variable wages. So our furlough grant claims and calculations have been quite complicated. And we've also been hit by the VAT rate change. And we've had to do a full business case and reforecast like most businesses, but we've then been asked to do it for the Scottish Government, so we've been doing work with them as well. So lots of extra work has come out of lockdown as well.
That is something I'm hearing quite a lot of. It's extra work, potentially reduced team, and the challenges of then doing it remotely. And as you said earlier, sometimes that leads to things feeling like they're taking a bit longer. So what's been your biggest learn during this period?
That when push comes to shove, people can actually bear an awful lot more than they thought they can bear in terms of change. And I had thought my team were a little bit punch drunk from all the changes from the system execution. Yet they have all embraced this and got going, and we've got a really diverse set of backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, racial backgrounds, age backgrounds in the team, and every single one of them has stepped up to the mark. And at the moment I've got quite a large temporary workforce, just due to some circumstances that we've got going on, and I've been really impressed at how that temporary workforce has just engaged and become part of the team as well, so that's been really good.
And is there anything you can take from that in terms of the team stepping up and being adaptable to change that you will hold on to in future, when hopefully we're past this?
I think I'll probably challenge the no, I don't think we can do that question. When you go and do something and somebody, no, I don't think so. I don't think we can do that. I think I will challenge that more. It's also forced me, one of the other things it's forced me to do is to think about how we empower our staff to do stuff, because you can't see what they're doing. In fact, quite a lot of my team don't like putting the video camera on at all. And so it makes you explore how is it we empower people to do what they need to do, but give them the safety net and the protection as employees, that they know they've got somewhere to go if they get stuck. But we also address people that need to be addressed in terms of performance. And I think it's a really good thing long term, but I think we've still got a journey to go in learning how to do that through remote working. And it's easier to do with qualified professional staff than it is to do with people that are doing more transactional processing, etc. But I have to say they've all been really impressive, and my hat off to the team for that.
Nice. And it's nice to take, as you say, take those learns and think about how can you then implement them, in the future, which, as you say, is still maybe a question for another day and need time to reflect on that. But I always like to think about some positive takeaways, from this challenging time, essentially.
Yeah.
And
I also think it's given us a headspace to do a little bit more. I've actually instigated some communication because we've got a lot of remote sites. So actually I've created forums that didn't exist before because we've now got the remote technology. And so I am able to engage much more effectively with my colleagues in Ayrshire and Inverness and Crathis. All these, that's actually been a real big win because it's a lot easier to communicate with them in that respect. Because before, the automatic was to get in a car and drive and get together. Now we have an hourly meeting once a week and we're communicating in a much more effective way, which is really good.
So if I asked you to look into your crystal ball, what do you think is going to be different in the business world once we come through the other side of this?
Well, I think cash has become king in everybody's world. I think for us as a charity, it's been a good reminder of how important our membership and our volunteers and all the people that support us are. I think they were always important, but when you can't open your properties to let people in the door, it's really, really important that people understand our broader conservation agenda and heritage agenda. So I think for us, it's helped us refocus on some of the important things again, and it's looked at cash flow, and it's also looked at, I think one of the other things is about skill set. You can start to see the skills that you need for the future too.
Yes. So what words of wisdom or positivity would you like to share with other finance and business leaders?
If you spoke to my teenagers, they would say I have no wisdom.
Or what do they know?
Exactly. Well, actually, they seem to know quite a lot. I have to say, the wisdom of my 16-year-old is quite scary sometimes. I think the thing that my personal wisdom is to not let. I've learned that I've got too sucked into work. Working from home used to be when I had focus work, and now being here all the time, I can't treat it the same way, but I have been. And so I think one of the biggest things is about getting that demarcation in your work-life balance, because it's really easy to get sucked in to oh, well, I'll just do that and I'll just do that, and the computer's just through there and I've nothing on tonight and I've not been doing anything, so I'll just go and do that. And actually it's really important to go and sit out and have a bit of peace, because actually it makes a big difference to what you do during the day as well. And that's my big learning word of wisdom, I think.
So making sure you're taking that time out and that still having some home time whilst working from home.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing with me today. And I think there'll be lots of people listening that can relate, or you'll say something that makes them reflect. So really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kirsty.
Speak to you soon. Bye, Lynn.
Bye.